Hello everyone, this is Brian with Amusement Source Media, and we are here in the Carolinas at Carowinds theme park. This is a Cedar Fair park. They have tons of high thrill rides and attractions, and this year they're celebrating their 50th anniversary. This park, prior to being a Cedar Fair park, was one of the Paramount parks before Cedar Fair kind of took all of that over. So you get a good mix of the modern Cedar Fair stuff along with all of the kind of old school Paramount stuff where you get to kind of figure out what it used to be. As you can see, it's very dreary, so we're going to do our best to give you a full in-depth tour, and it's our first time here, so we're going to be kind of seeing everything for the first time as we document it. Let's head into the park. We have come through the front gate and you can see they're all decked out in 50th anniversary stuff. I love what they did with the light posts. So this is kind of your main ticketed entrance. Over here you have guest services, and then if you want to do fast lane, you can do that. They also have some lockers over here and just a little gift shop. There's a nice refresh station, and over here to the right is a restroom location. So very well equipped kind of little front plaza area. And then of course these blue lines that are running through the middle of the street here are the split between North Carolina and South Carolina. So very interesting park concept for sure. And we're going to briefly kind of point out some of the food offerings as we do this tour. Here up at the front you've got a Cinnabon right here to the left, and as you continue through this way, if you bought a Fun Pics pass, which is like a photo pass, your main stand is there, and then there is a very large Starbucks right next to that. Also over here to the left you have a store that says Simply Southern on it, but they have all kinds of 50th merchandise in there and souvenirs. It's not just Simply Southern. They also have a candy shop in there, just kind of like your standard candy. You swing around and kind of your central focal point before we split off is this main stage right here in the plaza, and you can see right now they're doing Retrospect, which is probably some kind of throwback show, and they are getting ready for Grand Carnival while we are here, but we unfortunately will miss that. But just based off of the decor we've seen so far, it does look like a very well flushed out event. So you've got to decide if you want to go left or right. We're going to split off to the left. You run into another food stand here, which is an Auntie Anne's. So we've already seen a Cinnabon, a Starbucks, and an Auntie Anne's, lots of familiar brands. And of course, there's going to be various Dippin' Dot stands located all around the park. As we continue past that Dippin' Dot stand, you run into Intimidator, which is a B&M hyper coaster. You can see the train going up the lift hill right now. Big drop coming up, going right down. And of course, if you're a fan of NASCAR, this ride is themed after NASCAR racer Dale Earnhardt. Looks like they do have a gift shop, not quite open today. The weather has been pretty rough, so the park is very slow. There's a test seat out front. You can see the main sign right there. And of course, they've got like a little plaza here. You can take a picture with a Dale Earnhardt car. Very fun. So right over there to the left, you have Intimidator. And just kind of centralized right behind that big stage that we were at is Nighthawk. And this is a Vekoma Flying Dutchman. So this is a roller coaster where you would be laying down on your stomach and flying through the course. We'll see if we can get a clip of this ride. I haven't really seen it running recently. Over here in front of the first drop to Intimidator, you have Harmony Hall. So there's a stage in here. They're doing some kind of Snoopy themed show right now. And food offerings, they're pretty varying. You have kind of like your normal American hot dogs, chicken strips, hamburgers. They do have an Italian line with pizza, things like that. And then they've got a barbecue line as well. So they do have some of these desserts. You can see there are some 50th celebration suites there. You can scan that QR code to see that menu. And this shows you the show times for the show that's in there, which is called The Music Goes Round and Round. Right after you pass Harmony Hall, which is the big food court, you run into Camp Snoopy. We're actually going to go through Camp Snoopy here a little bit later. We're going to continue trekking this way. Right in front of the Nighthawk roller coaster is Ripcord, which is just like a, standard sky coaster. You can see that right there. You can also see Nighthawk going off in the background. Very photogenic area up here, up at the front for sure. Next up is a full-service Panda Express restaurant, which is very nice. Has some outdoor covered seating over here. And then over to the right of that is Kitty Hawk, which is like a smaller children's inverted coaster. You can see there, nothing too crazy. Making our way through that bridge, we've got a simple quick serve snack stand. You've got a Leonardo's hometown Italian food. Looks like they've got like pizza, ravioli, pasta. I believe this is new based off of what I saw in the park app. You go over here and you have the candy shop. Looks like it may be closed today though. And I do think we're gonna keep going straight and head into Aeronautica Landing, but we do have one more ride right before you get into Aeronautica Landing. There's the entrance into Aeronautica Landing, but I think it's very clear that this dark ride here used to be Scooby-Doo themed, but I'm sure it is still very fun. Boo Blasters on Boo Hill, so this is going to be like one of your dark rides where you're shooting targets, blacklight, theatrical sets, more of like an old school type of ride. Our next stop is Aeronautica Landing, which is the brand new area for 2023. The entrance to this is very fun. You've got like a airplane runway. You've got some really fun airplanes hanging up. And then you do have the Terminal A restaurant, which is up here. It's like a restaurant and bar. They are not serving food today. Otherwise, I would try to give you kind of an idea of what's going on there. But some of the rides in here are pre-existing. They've just been completely re-themed. And then, of course, some of the rides are brand new. You have very fun entrance signage heading into Aeronautica Landing. Great photo opportunity. Swing around to the right, and you've got another little food stand. Frequent Fryers. That's good. I like that. To the left of that, you have Hover and Dodge, which is a bumper cars attraction. And we've got a few other new rides over here that we'll show you. So this little glider type of ride that kind of sits behind the big Aeronautica Landing sign is called Windstar. We'll try to see if we can get that in action here in a minute. They do have a very fun airplane out here. It's pretty cool. Right across from Windstar, you have Gear Spin, which is this puke-inducing looking monstrosity of fun. But yeah, it's just flinging people up and down, spinning them all around. Wild. Over here, kind of the center focal point of Aeronautica Landing is this sculpture. And it says, dedicated to all those who made the dream of reaching the skies a reality. And if you're not familiar with the history of this area, this is where aviation really took off. As we pass by the sculpture there in the middle, you run into the Airwalker, which is another one of the brand new rides here in Aeronautica Landing. This is really funly themed. I love the like the billboard in the back there. This is really cool. And then it's like sandy across the front. Right next to Airwalker, you run into Air Racers, which I bet looks very familiar if you are from the Texas region. But this is not for the faint of heart at all. Lots of spinning. This model does not actually raise up off of the ground though, so it does stay close to the ground, which definitely adds another terrifying element to the ride for sure. Also an Aeronautica landing is Gyro Force, and don't believe this is opened yet, but it is very well themed, and this is kind of just like a fun little spinning ride, very similar to El Sombrero for those of you who are fluent with Six Flags Over Texas. But nice little theme refresh here, because I don't think you can get a new one of these anymore. Last but not least, an Aeronautica landing is Afterburn, which is a B&M inverted coaster. You just head up the hill here to get to that. And this is a pre-existing attraction to this area as well. After you pass through Aeronautica Landing, you run into this area that has Copperhead Strike, which is a mock multi-launch coaster with tons of inversions. And you can kind of see them back there, about to head through. There they go. Pretty wild. You get a lot of hang time in some of these inversions for sure. Right across from Copperhead Strike, you run into the Mountain Gliders, which, like your standard glider ride, you grab onto the little handle there and you can kind of move your fin around and kind of change the direction of where you fly. These are a lot of fun too. As you walk away from Copperhead Strike, you can go this way, which has Granny's Ice Cream Shop, but it also has this big Windseeker Tower. You can take that up, get a nice bird's eye view of everything. We've come back down from Windseeker so we can keep heading through this area, and you run into Blue Ridge Country Kitchen, because this is the Blue Ridge area of the park. And this looks real good. It looks like they got some fried chicken, some little sandwiches. Looks like up here it says rotisserie chicken, homemade sides, fried chicken. Smells really good over here too. Yeah. All right. Looks like our next area to run into is Carowinds County Fair. So as we head into the County Fair area, over to the left you can see that is the entrance to the Carolina Harbor Water Park. We're not going to be heading in there, but just an FYI. This kind of looks more like a fairground type of area, so let's see what kind of attractions they've got. The first attraction you run into over here is the Zephyr, which is this swing ride. You can see them loading up right now. Pretty standard ride, spin all around, and has a fun little theme with it on the operator panel and on the ride itself. I like the cow up there. That's a nice touch. Right across from the Zephyr is the Do-Si-Do. And this is an old school Troika attraction, spinning people all around. These are very fun family flat rides. Across from Do-Si-Do is the Electro Spin, which looks like a complete and utter barf machine. You will not catch me on one of these, but to each their own. I do love the theme over here though. And if you're craving a funnel cake, just go over to the right of Electro Spin and get you some funnel cakes. Next up on our adventures is the Rock and Roller. And this is one of these old school fair rides, you know what I'm saying? Like a Himalaya, but it's themed to the area really well. Nice kind of 50s going. I do love the sign up there. It says Cartone Records, Bye Bye Lunch by the Whirlin' Hurlers. That's awesome. Very classic old school ride. Our final attraction in this little county fair area is the Flying Cobras, which is a Vekoma boomerang. And the great thing about this one, much like what they just did at Fiesta, Texas, is it has the soft harness restraints. As we head into this new area, you run into Chickies and Pete's, which is like a chicken restaurant. They do have Philly cheesesteaks, things like that. Looks like they have cheesesteak nachos. I never heard of that. It looks like you have another dining location right next to that with Carolina Boat Works. And you swing around this way and you run into the Gold Rusher, which is the park's mine train roller coaster. And they've done something special for the 50th anniversary. We'll see if we can catch a glimpse at that. For the 50th anniversary, they have a gold train, and it is very cool looking. Next up on our rundown is the Ricochet roller coaster, which is a wild mouse. You can see the winding track up there. This is not open today, so we will not get to see this thing run, but it exists. Right after Ricochet, you run into the tracks of the Carolina Cyclone, which is like an old school aero looping coaster. Love the paint job. If I was thinking of the Carolinas, I would probably think of something like this. I've ended up backtracking from the last attraction we showed you because there's this little carousel park over here. So I just want to point this out really quick and then we'll be on our way. It does look like they have a slingshot attraction. And then this orange coaster behind it is Vortex, which is a stand-up roller coaster, early 90s stand-up roller coaster. From what I've been seeing, it's not even open right now, which I don't know if I really want to ride it anyways. I hear it's a little rough. You can see the entrance to Vortex over there. And then of course they have a carousel right here. It's a nice looking carousel, I tell you what. All right, we're gonna backtrack the other way and we're gonna continue with our regularly scheduled plan of events, I guess, even though I'm kind of improvising this whole thing because I've never been here. As we head past Carolina Cyclone, you run into the Hurler, which is the park's wooden roller coaster. Let's see if this thing is cycling and we'll give you a quick look. Right to the left of Hurler, back in this little nook, is Drop Tower, which is a free fall attraction. You can see that's not quite running today. Like I said before, the weather is not great today. The park is not busy, so it's kind of an off day for us, but this is the opportunity we had to be here. Located right in front of Hurler is the Jukebox Diner, which is like an old school diner. Not open today, but I imagine this is probably like hamburgers and things like that. I do love the theme with the classic cars out front. We were just over at Jukebox Diner down that way. You take this little pathway up here and you run into the Scream Weaver. Also not operating today, but this is an old school Enterprise attraction. You don't see a lot of these anymore, so if you're here and it's operating, highly recommend you jump on. These are wild. And I do want to point out, if we head back up this way, we go into Carousel Park where we saw Vortex and all that, but we're not going to do that. We're going to head out this way to show you the Big Daddy. And the Big Daddy we're referring to is Fury 325, a 325-foot tall roller coaster. This is the park's largest roller coaster, and it is created by B&M, so very smooth, comfortable trains, and should be fairly big people friendly. But I will say the one thing about Cedar Fair is things are a little bit more snug on some of the rides here. It's obviously a safety thing, but it's just something to keep in mind. Most of the big rides, by the way, also have these locker banks that are like a 2-hour locker for $4 if you need somewhere to put loose articles. Back that way, you've got Jukebox Theater, Hurler, Fury 325, the Drop Tower. We're actually coming back up into the carousel area. You run into Carowinds Theater, which right now has Brad Ross, who is a international star illusionist, according to the sign. And you can see just kind of where we've ended up right here by the carousel. We're almost all the way around the park. We'll keep heading this way. Right across from the carousel is the Scrambler, and it's exactly what you think it is. It is an old-fashioned Scrambler flat ride from Eli Bridge. And just like that, we wound our way back around to the front of the park. You can see the stage over there that we showed you that was right at the front. There is a sky ride and there is Planet Snoopy, so I think we're gonna jump off into those real quick just to give you a quick rundown. So yeah, the Sky Tower is totally just something that we slipped right by, which happens, you know, when you're at your first visit to the park. So the Nighthawk roller coaster entrance is right over there. You just have this fountain right here, and then right on the other side of that is where you actually board the Carolina Sky Tower. And of course, it is just my luck as our day is winding down and we're going to check out our very last thing, which is Camp Snoopy. The sun comes out and gives us a beautiful view of the rides and attractions out here. Just came through the main entrance to Camp Snoopy. First ride you run into is Charlie Brown's Wind Up. Swing around this way, you've got a pretty epic statue of Snoopy, Woodstock, fountain. Very cool. I will say, this area is very well shaded. Over here you've got the Camp Snoopy balloon race. Let's head up the hill over here a little bit. And up here, kind of at the top of this hill, you've got the Camp Snoopy versus Red Baron plane ride. And this thing is old school right here. I'm a big fan of fountains, and good landscaping in this park has plenty of it. Okay, we've got like a little children's whip ride over here. Peanuts Trailblazers. Really old school ride concept, but this one is for the little kids. And you can see that right there. Very fun theming. Over here, You've got the kite-eating tree. You can see there's the tree eating the kites. Little kiddie drop ride. And then you've got the camp bus, which is one of these pretty standard little bus rides. Just spins around, up and down. This dead end's over here, so we will head down this way. Just can't get over how well shaded it is over here. And, you know, a lot of the park is like that, but especially this area. The next attraction we run into, which is just kind of on the other side of the Snoopy statue fountain, is Pigpen's Mud Buggies. And Pigpen is up there. He's ignoring us right now. It's a fun little kid ride. I'm sure you can see that roller coaster in the back. Let's go check it out. So right here you have the Woodstock Express, and it is a little classic wooden roller coaster. So I think I may have said that Hurler was the only wooden roller coaster. I lied. You have the Woodstock Express.
Carowinds, where the Carolinas come together.
Right next to the Woodstock Express is a family care and lost camper center, so if that's something you need to utilize, you can find that here in Camp Snoopy. As we pass that family care center, you run into Snoopy's Junction, which looks to be like a children's train ride. And you can see it's just parked over there, not quite operational today. Heading past that and behind this very nice foliage is Peanuts Pirates. This ride looks pretty wild, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's a pretty high-paced ride. It looks like you've got forwards and backwards facing seats. Next to that are the Woodstock Whirlybirds, which is like a mini teacups ride over here. Very standard mini teacups, but well themed to Snoopy. And then beyond that, you've got the Peanuts Gallery, which is a character meet and greet experience. And the last stops here in Camp Snoopy are this play area. They got like a little playground back there. And then when you come around this way, you run into Wilderness Run, which is a little children's roller coaster. Pretty standard, like a miler. Come up this way and go all around through there. All right, everyone, that does it for this first ever visit to Carowinds. We had a really fun time. This is a really pretty park. I was pleasantly surprised by how pretty it is. Lots of new stuff. You can tell there's lots of new restaurants, new building structures up front. The roller coasters, we were riding the roller coasters in between filming. Tons of fun. Love Fury 325, love Intimidator, and Copperhead Strike, it was okay. It's not really my kind of ride. I'm more of an airtime guy, but it was very fun and very interesting. The thing that we just missed during our visit, which will be happening by the time this video comes out, is Grand Carnival. And make sure you come out here and check it out. There's going to be all kinds of food. We've seen all the food booths. I know there's a parade. And then, of course, if the rain was a little more cooperative, we would have had some shows to see today as well. If y'all have any questions about Carowinds, let us know in the comments. We'll try to do our best to answer those for you. Thank you all for watching. Take care. We'll see you soon.